Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, the federal government officially shut down. Democrats blocked a clean budget extension, leaving millions of Americans to deal with furloughs, closed parks, and delayed services. Stay with us. We're going to break down what it actually means for you and who will pay the political price. Plus, President Trump and War Secretary Pete Hegseth spoke to top military brass yesterday, unveiling new directives on fitness, grooming, and combat standards. The president wants to reawaken the warrior spirit. We'll break down what these changes could mean for our military. And troops are headed to Portland this week. The Oregon National Guard will help secure federal buildings and personnel as the city faces riots and other security concerns. Stay with us. We're going to take a look at what this deployment means for residents and the federal response. The second hour of American Sunrise is starting right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
And welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm, T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Well, day one of the government shutdown. I think, Dr. G, the key initials here, or key letters, RIF, reduction in force. Now we wait to see what President Trump and Russ Vought over at OMB does about this. The White House, Gina, has a lot of latitude here to deem what is essential and what is not essential. So Democrats, get ready.
Yeah, well, a lot of these departments, I think President Trump is multitasking as usual. He's not only showing the Democrats that if they're going to spend money on illegal immigrants instead of Americans, he's going to expose them for it. And secondly, I think he's testing the waters a little bit, maybe David, maybe Terrence, for some of these departments that he's talked about cutting or eliminating altogether. Do you think that's part of this plan here, Terrence?
Potentially, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this ultimately moves forward. If, in fact, there is a reduction in force, a permanent reduction in force, I'm even going to say it's going to be interesting to see how long this furlough is going to last. Furloughed for how long? These next couple of weeks, hopefully it doesn't last that long, but it very well could, particularly if history is, if you look at history, the last one I think was about a month, maybe about 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out, guys. But in the meantime, the White House is going to host its latest press briefing this afternoon, and the current government shutdown will likely dominate the questions that White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is going to have to answer. In the meantime, about 750,000 federal employees reportedly will not be showing up for work today thanks to being furloughed. Some are even facing the prospect of being fired outright, as we just discussed. Republicans blamed congressional Democrats, specifically Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, for holding government funding hostage.
The Schumer Shutdown. Unbelievable. 13 times Chuck Schumer has voted for a clean CR. What's that mean? That means this time he's being hypocritical. Once again, making it about President Trump and Republicans, even though he knows deep in his heart that the Schumer Shutdown lives again, and that hurts the average American across this country. We're going to have the military without a paycheck. We're going to have people suffering because Chuck Schumer won't do the right thing.
A last-ditch effort to keep the government open failed on Tuesday when the Senate couldn't get the 60 votes necessary to avoid the current shutdown. A continuing resolution that already passed in the GOP-led House only garnered 53 votes in the Republican-majority Senate, with most Democrats refusing to cross the aisle to get that measure across the finish line. Turning Point USA hosts its first college tour event in Utah since Charlie Kirk's assassination, and thousands of people showed up to support. University was about 2 hours from where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There was also a tense moment leading up to the rally as a campus building had to be temporarily evacuated due to a suspicious package. Turns out there was no threat, though. Utah Governor Spencer Cox, along with Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs, were on the panel at that event. Senator Mike Lee of Utah was scheduled to attend as well, but instead sent a pre-recorded video message saying that he had to stay in Washington, D.C. to participate in the vote to try and avert a government shutdown. Hurricanes Imelda and Humberto are causing massive problems for parts of the East Coast right now. The Category 1 storm is packing winds, of about 85 miles an hour and spawning massive waves. Check out this video from North Carolina where strong waves are literally causing oceanside homes to collapse, as you just saw there. At last check, at least 5 homes just in the city of Buxton, North Carolina, had collapsed. Ocracoke and Hatteras Islands are also dealing with road closures thanks to the 2 systems that are now blowing. Imelda is expected to grow to a Category 2 storm by tonight. Hurricane Humberto appears to have lost some of its steam overnight and is now down to a Category 1 system. For more, let's check in with Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. Tracy, how much of a threat are these 2 systems, even though they're a little far off the U.S. coast, but they're still bringing waves and other problems?
Yeah, we're still going to be dealing with the high surf and the waves throughout the day today. North Carolina is especially susceptible just because of the geography, how it kind of sticks out a little farther to the east, and those barrier islands of
Tracy,
the Outer
I'm
Banks.
sorry. We're having some audio issues here. You're breaking up for us a little bit. We'll see if we can't get those fixed, and maybe we'll try to check in with you in a little bit. Sorry, Tracy. Good to see you, though. Always good to see you. All right, let's switch things up a little bit. Let's go over to David. David, mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
I'm here. I could do it. No, I'm here. I'm definitely here. All right. That was kind of weird. By the way, the weather in D.C. with this government shutdown, cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms likely. Actually, definitely, for sure. All right. The headline of the day, of course, the federal government now officially shut down. Republicans tried to keep it open. Democrats, of course, refused to come to the table by blocking this it was a clean 7-week extension that would have kept the lights on. Even now, they're insisting on packing the budget with more government giveaways. Joining us this morning with analysis is CPAC Chairman Matt Schlapp. Matt, well, good morning, I guess.
Morning.
Yeah, look, Democrats they wouldn't budge. Now many are calling this, well, Democrats aren't, but many others are calling this the Schumer Shutdown. So what do you think? Do you think Democrats deliberately let this shutdown happen just to score some political points? Because I'm sorry, Chuck Schumer saw AOC in his rearview mirror, and he knew he was going to get flack from the far left if he didn't shut this government down. That's what this is all about, honestly.
Look, the Democrats tend to win all these shutdown battles, so they're very cocky about it. They like to have the shutdown battles because then they start using the news media to show like all these terrible things are happening because regulators aren't going to work and people are suffering. And so they'll make the most of it. But at the end, the Republicans have to grab back this idea that Reagan had, which is you have to use the budget process to get the policies and the spending that you want. And Republicans lost this battle when Newt Gingrich was Speaker. And we've spent all of these years, it's like 20 years, 30 years, kind of like wandering around saying that we're never for a shutdown. We would never use the budget process to shut down the government. And I understand this is Schumer's shutdown. He owns it 100%. But if they were to get this extension, David, then you have the next piece of it, which is, are we willing to fight to the death for our principles, like illegals who are here should not get health care benefits, or temporary Obama COVID subsidies shouldn't be made permanent. Those are just 2 little things. Defunding PBS, continuing to defund PBS would be another thing. There's a lot of issues that I think we should fight to the death on. And if we fight over those principles, and that means the government shuts down for a short period of time, we have to embrace it and quit running away from it.
Matt, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm getting the sense that you don't see this government shutdown as all bad, that there may be some benefits, specifically when it comes to pushing congressional Republicans and Democrats to do their constitutional duty and to fund the government to pass all these ultimate funding bills.
Yeah, so I'm old. I've been doing this a long time, Terrence. I've been in this town too long. And the fact is that Democrats tend to win these battles. Republicans don't want to fight over spending. And what's the result of that? USAID becomes bloated and there's no oversight of it. And that's just one little department of government. This is true in all of government. Republicans, not all of them, we have some great ones there, but by and large, Republicans and Republican appropriators are willing to give the Democrats almost everything they want on their spending, as long as they get the bridge or the courthouse or the post office in their district. That's the dirty little secret of this. I think we've gotten to the point where the American people are so disgusted by this whole process, and conservatives and pro-America people are so disgusted by this, they actually want us to fight. I think for the first time in a long time, we can win this budget battle, and I appreciate President Trump and Speaker Johnson and Senator Thune taking the first step in that process.
Matt, we heard from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and President Trump yesterday. They say they're done with wokeness in the armed forces, and they're rolling out new policies to refocus our military on war fighting first and foremost. What was your reaction to the speech? Did it surprise you at all? And how do you think Americans will ultimately respond?
Like everything in the Trump era, it is unconventional.
Yeah.
And it is made for TV,
Yes.
and Pete Hegseth is the perfect person to talk about being in shape and passing your PT. It gave me flashbacks to my own ROTC PT tests. I wasn't the fastest guy in the squad, by the way. I was better at push-ups. But but of course, what he's saying is, of course, makes sense. We're all exhausted of DEI. We shouldn't have a DEI furry. We saw those pictures of people who were furries putting it out on these websites. We shouldn't have people who are not physically able to be in combat. We've had this feminization of the military, which says that a woman doesn't have to meet the same standards because we want women in combat, because maybe we'll have less war because men have toxic masculinity. All this crap. I'm so glad we're pressing flush. That being said, there was a lot of wonderful people in that audience, and I think the one thing the secretary has to keep in mind is that while we're chastising the politicization of the military, there's the overwhelming percentage of people who join and give their lives to the military are wonderful people who probably agree with him. So let's build them up and empower them while we flush DEI down the toilet.
Yeah, I think most of the military definitely agrees with him. Of course, there'll be some fat generals this morning that are not happy, but other than that.
Well, you know what was funny? It's
don't
the
quote
fat
me.
generals are the ones. The fat generals were the ones that seemed to be making all these terrible decisions too. It is kind of ironic.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that'd be a good tease. Coming up, a fat general. All right, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, coming up, no, not fat generals, but everyone dreams of buying their first home. But can people really steal your house from under you? Actually, the answer is yes. In moments, find out how not to be a victim. That's when American Sunrise continues.